Hey there, welcome back to Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. Thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel. We are in the meat bird production barn, and if you ask the birds what the temperature is, they would just tell you it's really hot. They're just trying to beat the heat. So this is actually the last full day of this flock's production. So meaning you're looking at birds. Hey there, it's Melissa in the meat bird production barn at Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. Please subscribe to our channel. Today's really just a check-in in the meat bird barn. As I was saying, you're looking at a flock of birds that is as we're recording, literally in their last full day of production. So for us, that means that tomorrow they will actually turn 6 weeks old. So from when I'm filming this, in 24 hours is their 6th week. So really, completing, so really when we're saying we grow birds out to 6 weeks in our poultry production cycle, honestly, if we get super technical, we're really saying we grow them through the completion of their 5th week. So, 5-week-old birds. As you can see, we're going to look back at the birds, but as you can see from them, visual observation, these birds are large. I don't have a weight, a physical, how much do they weigh on them to tell you. I can tell you that when we have to handle birds, we handle them by using 2 hands to get a hold of them as gently but firmly as we possibly can, and we just make a handhold, kind of like that, putting our thumb over the wing and putting the front of our fingers over the chicken breast of the bird. And so when we have both hands holding them like that, that secures the wings down to the body, and it holds them just securely. There are a lot of birds we've had to handle a little bit for various different reasons. There are a lot of birds in this pen that I can't get both of my hands around, and it's hard for me to hold them securely. Incidentally, in our area, we're in the southeastern part of Ohio. Incidentally, in our area, the flock that we raised last year at this very same time, about a month difference on the time, but last year I had a flock finish May 30th, and they were the flock that we actually had to move out of their building and finish outdoors in more or less a pasture type system. They were out of doors 24 hours a day about the last 2 weeks of their grow out. That flock of birds, May 30th, 2022, finished like this flock of birds, so large that for me, I couldn't get my hands around the wing and the front of those birds, and I would have to pick them up with 2 hands and then pin them, kind of hold them against my body, my side, like my rib cage, to hold them because my hands could not get around the birds. And this flock reminds me of that. So for us in our climate, in our region, there's something about this window, this season, that seems to really agree with growing out Cornish rock cross meat chickens. We start them, they're just first day hatchlings when we get them here on the property. So like these birds, 6 weeks back, they would have started around Mother's Day, mid-May. And we had to start them with heat lamps. In fact, where they're sitting, let's just put the camera there and look at that. Where these birds are all sitting, because this doorway is open, and then the doorway immediately across from it is open, and we have a fan trying to blow some air onto them, but the breeze is good today, and we've taken a couple other measures I'll show you for the heat. But these birds would have actually started right here where you're seeing them. So we actually had where this joint is right here, goes across there to that door frame on that east side of our building. So there was a short wall right here. So all of these birds, there was 304 when they started. I think we're down to about 270. But all of those birds started from here over in that brooder. And so where these chains are hanging down right here, there's a row of 6 and a row of 6, and we have them doubled up so they can hang. I can have the end come all the way down. Where those are at, we had heat lamps, and so we had 12 heat lamps in this area for these 304 birds, and there were times that all of those heat lamps were on, even starting them in the middle of May. we didn't have to have heat lamps on for very long. I think maybe 2 weeks, pretty solid. Definitely overnight we had to have them on, but then certainly by 4 weeks, I think we had taken those heat lamps down. And in fact, I'll show you, I think I can zoom in. In our building, we didn't make it on purpose this way, but the way the structure needs to be built, you know, we ended up with kind of a tray there that we store our heat lamps up in there when they're not in use. So we were able to take all those heat lamps down, because we can put 12 here and we could put 8 there in the center. You can see where those chains would be there. So what we're seeing here though with these birds is they are warm. I told you they would say it's just hot. It's on the thermometer, it's about 82 degrees, but you know, that's hot for them. So I'll show you, some of y'all have seen our videos and seen some of these measures, but just showing you there how they're panting. They don't sweat, and a lot of our viewers already know that chickens don't sweat. So they're panting. They're using all the mechanisms they have to stay as cool as they possibly can, and actually they're doing okay. I know it looks bad, you know, when you see animals panting, but that's their coping mechanism for being hot. Plus, they have 25 gallons of water. Those are some of the small ones. We've got them spread through there, and the large ones. So they have 25 gallons of water. Also, we have homemade ice blocks. So here was the set from earlier. They've melted down into water. We've pulled them out. We put a new set in. So there's one of them. So we just, you know, took a soda bottle and fill it with water, freeze it, and we set it in the pen. And you can see they do like to come around those. I think I have another one. It's hard to walk through them. I'm trying to get back there. Have another couple soda bottles back here. So they're just sitting around that one. Here I've got one right there laying its head across it. They're very pleased with having that. So they do utilize those. You know, it's not a perfect solution, but it's something inexpensive to make and easy to make. And when your birds are hot, it's something you can do to help them. Another little inexpensive thing you can do if you're, where'd I put it? Sorry. If you're able to get into your waters. So we also make smaller ones. So this is pretty, well, it's still got some ice in it, but this is just filled with water, frozen, and then we put them down in our waters, and that makes the water stay a little colder. But we have filled, so I told you 25 gallons of water, because these are 5 each, and then those single ones, we filled them once this morning, and we filled them again. So we've actually put 50 gallons of water into the building today. Something got their attention and they all kind of stopped. But I wish something I could get on camera, and I can't. I'm sure y'all won't be able to hear this, but sometimes if you have a lot of birds in a flock in a building and they're hot, when you enter that space, you're going to hear like a collective gasping, and that's their panting. And so just know that that is their coping mechanism for dealing with the heat, because they don't sweat. And if they're panting, and if they're getting up and going to water, and your water is being used up by the birds, then they are coping, you know, and that's what we want to see right there. We want to see them going to water. Now, having said that, this is the last full day of production for this set of birds. We have pulled feeders out of their pen, and there are no feeders left in the pen for them, because if you're taking birds to a processor or you're processing yourself, you need to pull feed from your birds 12 to 18 hours ahead of their processing time or processing appointment. So we aim for about the middle of that. You know, we aim for about 15 hours ahead to go ahead and pull that water. Not the water, to pull the food out of the pen. Never pull the water. That was my misspeak right there. Never pull the water. You keep the water to your birds in the pen for the duration. You never withhold water from them, ever. And it is hot, so like I said, we're not in here asking the birds to move around. I'm glad to see that several of them are getting up, stretching, moving around, going to water. And these birds are really, really nice size for going. they're curious too for going to processing. So thanks for joining us on Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. We'll try to get them in the barn in the morning a little bit before we take them to the processor.